This is Jared with MetalsPeak.com. Today I'm reviewing the latest release from Insomnium. It's called One for Sorrow. It was released on October 18th, 2011 through Century Media Records, which is a new label home for the band. Definitely one of the most hotly anticipated releases of the year, especially amongst melodic death metal fans and people like me who count Insomnium as at least one of their top five favorite death metal bands of all time. Happy to report that if you've been a fan of Insomnium for a while, that there's not a whole lot of deviation from what has become the vintage Insomnium formula of deathly vocal growls, awesome guitar leads, beautiful acoustical interludes, and basically overall up-tempo, low-tempo, and everything in between with the music, as you've come to expect from their catalog. If you're new to their sound, I'm guessing that One for Sorrow is probably as good a jumping off point as any. If you're wanting to get into these guys, but it's a very very solid album. Definitely expanded on the clean vocal experimentation that they introduced on Across the Dark to very positive effect. So very very solid album overall. We're going to go ahead and jump into the categories here. For those who haven't read our site before, the categories we grade albums on are going to be brutality, songwriting, production, repeat listenability, and artwork. So for brutality, we're going to give this one an 8. Again, this is not going to be the most heavy, chaotic music you're ever going to hear in your life. There's a beauty to it. You have the softer parts that are going to keep me from conferring a full 10 on this. But it is a heavy album. It's not all fluff. It's not all soft stuff. You have songs like Only the One Who Waits or Every Hour Wounds or even Regain the Fire that start, kind of very up-tempo melodic death metal sound to them. But then you also have the softer stuff like Song of the Blackest Bird or Unsung. And when I say softer, I'm not saying that it's very slow and only acoustic, but it's more mid-tempo stuff that's still very sorrowful and very powerful. There's an emotional heft to everything that's going on here that still makes this album very, very, very heavy, even if it's not bludgeoning you at every turn. So, very, very good. In terms of songwriting, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. Insomnium have proven themselves time and time again to be consummate songwriters. They pull in their lyrical inspiration from a variety of sources, including different poems from different cultures that kind of embody, the overall themes of death, despair, things of that nature. In talking with Nilo Savan a few weeks ago on Skype, he mentioned that when they go to write a song, everybody kind of comes in with their own riff ideas, and they just have an entire legion of riffs that they try to run past each other, and then they kind of whittle those down to the ones they think are the best. And that kind of quality control, if you will, definitely shines through on this album. There's lots of different songs that just have these really, really catchy leads. Song of the Blackest Bird is one of them. It's the third track that has this killer melodic outro on it that has the electric guitar and everything else going, and then it kind of segues into this really beautiful acoustic piece, and it just kind of fades out very quietly. Very, very haunting song. The fifth track, Unsung, has this really cool acoustic intro to it that kind of segues into this really killer kind of laddering electric guitar riff that it's probably going to sound pretty familiar to anybody who's been listening to Insomnium for a while, but it's definitely just a really, really killer catchy riff. You've got Lay the Ghost to Rest, which has a really cool intro riff, but then it has on the first chorus it has this really awesome riff, and then it kind of, when it goes into the next verse, it has this kind of sustained riff that goes over it that's kind of a continuation of the chorus riff that's just really, really awesome. So overall, compositionally, these guys are very hard to beat. Very, very good at striking that balance between the beautiful and the brutal. And just very, very happy with the way this thing turned out from a songwriting perspective. So way to go, guys. In terms of production goes, we're going to go with a 10 on this one. Again, everything on this thing sounds pristine. The guitar tone is amazing. The bass just throbs out of the speakers, but it's not overbearing. The clean vocals and the growled vocals both sound awesome. There's a place for every sound, and every sound is in its place. So I have no gripes with the way this album sounds. It's incredible. In terms of repeat listenability, we're giving this a 10 out of 10. I cannot stop listening to this album. It's a very solid front to back listen. There's lots of different things you're going to hear with each repeated listen. There's not really a bad song on this album. I would say that there are maybe some that I prefer more than others. I'd say probably Unsung is probably my favorite one on there, which is probably the one song that I keep going back to. That one and Every Hour Wounds. But really, the whole album is just a very, very good, solid front to back listen. So again, if you've been with Insomnium for a while, you're going to love this. If you're new to their sound, go ahead and check it out, but also check out their back catalog because everything they write is absolutely incredible. Artwork, layout. Now, I only have the digital copy of this one. The cover on this one is kind of a picture of some crows, kind of being that you can kind of see through a window created by some trees. I believe this cover was done by one of the guys from Ghost Brigade, and I think he's done a few of their covers here in the past. So we're going to give this an 8 out of 10, only because all I can see is the cover, but it is in keeping with kind of those darker, more morose themes that you're typically going to pick up with Insomnium's music. And so in terms of capturing the overall mood of the CD, I think the cover does that very aptly. So we're going to go ahead and give that an 8 out of 10. So with that being said, our overall rating for this album is going to be a 9.2. Again, if you've been with the band for a while, you're going to find a lot to like here. If you've never heard Insomnium before, this is as good a time as any to get into their sound and discover what you've been missing up to this point, because these guys are just amazing, amazing songwriters. Looking forward to any U.S. touring plans that might be coming up here in the next little bit. If you have a chance to catch them live, which I haven't, I'm definitely not going to miss them if they come through. Do yourself a favor, pick up this CD, pick up their old CDs, go see them live, because this is one of the best melodic death metal bands out there. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.